You are listening to Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies. Let's jump into these charts. We always start with 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin and check it out. We can see as we jumped into late morning, early afternoon, we saw Bitcoin starting to spike up strongly. That may be the reason why things went strongly bullish on our short-term charts. On HODL, we went from bearish to bullish just over the day. And as we look at the underlying asset on the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin chart, we can see where that strength came from. Lots of volume there. Had not had volume for a while on the 195-minute chart when things then popped up in the late morning and in afternoon. We have a red spinning top on that 2-day chart. Not a lot of volume there. Not a lot of volume this week as compared to last week. Not reaching the lows of last week. So let's keep an eye on Bitcoin. See if it pops up through the trend line and really starts making a beeline up. Now, it could just be messing around, die on the vine on us, but we will keep an eye on it. And look at Ethereum. Oh, Bitcoin up for the day 2.1%. Ethereum up 2.83% right now. You can see where it has just spiked up since 2:30 in the afternoon on Wednesday when I record this for you. Again, not a lot of volume there on the 2-day chart. Not a lot of volume on the weekly. A lot of volume last week when it spiked down, but nowhere near that spike down this week. So we will keep an eye, particularly as things have taken off over the last few hours. Now, this is interesting. When you see that, I want you, please pay close attention to what I'm about to say. Do you see the chart we are looking at? It is an ETF. It is BITW, Bitwise. Top 10 crypto index fund. It's weighted as per market share. So what's the big daddy in this one? Bitcoin, followed way down the line by Ethereum. But think of the outsized effect if the thing is balanced, weighted per market share when Bitcoin is the big dog, and Bitcoin has been spiking up since late morning and then spiked up again in the afternoon. Now, you can trade BITW until when? Until the end of the day. You can buy it. You can sell it. Now, if you see on the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin chart, Bitcoin spiking like this, might you think, if it keeps spiking like this through the night and it's getting to the end of the day and it's jamming up like that, it's not being reflected in the price yet. If that continues and I go ahead toward the end of the day and I see, hey, not a lot's happened here, and I buy, let's take a look. Just put this in your pipe and smoke on it all evening and look tomorrow morning and see, well, over the course of the day on the 13th, what happens with Bitwise. Now, if Bitcoin crashes overnight, probably not much. But if Bitcoin keeps going in the same direction with all that fire and energy, along with Ethereum, don't you think you might see a green candle tomorrow? You might see a spike up of a few percent that if you had paid attention to what was going on with Bitcoin, understanding that BITW is an underlying ETF that reflects in large part its price, but is on a delay, might that be something you could consider jumping into and using that information? Hey man, may have just given you something to seriously consider. Again, we're not a stock calling service. We're not a BITW advisory service. We're an education firm. We want you to practice trade, pay attention to things, and learn stuff that can help you in the future. Let's move on out of cryptocurrency, and we will move into sugar. We'll move into commodities, CANE, sugar cane. Third week of up movements, flat for the day, but again, moving up nicely after stalling there the Friday, Monday, and then taking off again. Sugar just stacking up. Corn up for the day 8%. And again, corn has been, since it sort of leveled off The interim peak back in September, then sort of rolled down, and then just sort of held steady. But boy, when it started building, it has gone and gone. It's beautiful. What about copper? Using a lot of industrial processes. Man, did it spike today. 2.42% today alone. Up in the morning, the afternoon, you can see since copper turned around back in early January, it's gone from somewhere around the $25 mark up to right there at a high of $29.65. So that's beautiful and still going. What about USO oil? We saw oil spike, didn't we? 3 good weeks for oil up through mid-January, and then coughing it off and dropping down for the day 2.49%. Now, not up there where things were, or down there where things were last week if you were shorting oil. But again, big down day after 2 days of some up movement. Look how it's bouncing off that down trend line, and moving back down. So if you're shorting oil on a practice trade, you're in the right direction. Down 3%, over 3%, we see the U.S. gasoline fund for the day. 2 green candles last week and this week, but again, you can see where we had some up movement for several days, but over the last day, gas spiking down, and again, right there, penetrating just barely that weekly trend line. So weakness in gas. Keep an eye on that if you've been practice trading it for an up move, which I can't imagine you would, particularly with oil going down as much as it has lately. And of course, gasoline comes from oil. Doesn't mean they're the same, but there's some things you can learn off both of them. And let's look at wheat. Wheat pulling back for the last day and a half, down 0.59% for the day. You can see, again, we saw where corn had started moving up in December. Wheat, of course, started moving up in mid-January, and it's high last week with that really high volume. We'll see, we're almost up to average volume this week. We'll see where wheat continues to go. And I tell you what, here's just one I want to take a look at. Silver, up for the day 1.17%. I'm going to update my trend line on silver. Can't capture but 2 candles. We like to have 3, as you know. Lots of volume last week as silver peaked up. High-end silver, $29.74. This week, $29.47. So, again, not the high that we had last week yet, and nowhere near that volume. You can see on the 2-day where we've got a doji right there. You can see where silver headed down for 2 days and then popped up some today, popped up nicely 1.17%, but isn't challenging that prior high. Maybe silver's getting weak in the knee. Gold is still bullish. I would think silver's still bullish, but gold's reduced its bullishness down to 65%. So again, from the beginning of the week where we were at 75% bullishness on gold. So silver's lost a little bit of its luster too. Lastly, we will move over in alphabetical order, the pound, the euro, and the yen. We'll take a look at them. The pound just about flat for the day. You can see the last 2 weeks lackluster. We had some volatility, but as far as where things have gone, candle size reducing significantly, sideways slide. You can see where we had 3 days of strong down movement through Monday, and then starting Tuesday morning, moving up some, but not much happening. Maybe we'll get up to average volume here, but again, just a sideways slide on the pound. What do we see going on the euro? Well, a big down week last week. You can see that red spinning top. We had, of course, our interim high on the week ending the 27th of January, and then we had a red spinning top, a bigger top than I would have wanted to jump into a trade, but leading us to believe that we're probably going to have some real downward pressure there. Up a little bit for the day, 0.28%, up the last 2 days after 3 days of down movement. So we'll keep an eye. I mean, this latest 2-day candle, not a lot of volume, so it doesn't tell us a whole lot. There's just not a lot of energy backing up the doji here, nor the doji here on that is the 2-day and the weekly. We'll keep an eye on things. Downward pressure on the euro and the yen. Guess the Bank of Japan got tired of things going up over several weeks and probably is pulling the chocks out, trying to drive the yen down to support exports. Remember, you want your currency to be cheap. If you export a lot, you don't want it to get out of control. It got out of control right here when, of course, the yen carry trade stopped because the Bank of Japan changed their monetary policy and they worked very hard to knock it down. Popped up 2 weeks there in late November, early December, then down for 4 weeks, and then starting mid-January, ticking up again. I have a feeling they're trying to pull the chocks out, push it down for the day 1.21%. I would think that may very well continue. That is where we are, my friends. I hope you enjoy it every week when midweek or so we jump out of the box a little bit, jump into those cryptocurrencies, jump into commodities and world currencies. I always find it interesting just to see what's going on in other places. God bless. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth.